Dashing through the bush in a rusty Holden ute, kicking up the dust, Esky in the boot, Kelpie by my side, singing Christmas songs. It's summertime and I am in my singlet, shorts and thongs. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Christmas in Australia on a scorching summer's day. Hey! Jingle bells, Christmas time is beaut. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a rusty Holden ute.
One day early in 1918, an expert committee met in London to discuss the development of some new devices for the detection and destruction of submarines. At that time, in the World War at Sea, the German U-boats were sending a disturbing number of Allied ships to the bottom. A key member of the committee was one of the great pioneers of nuclear physics, Ernest Rutherford. On that particular day, however, he failed to attend the meeting. His absence was deplored, for this was no ordinary routine meeting. He was asked for an explanation, politely but firmly. He gave it, firmly and directly, in these words.
Talk softly, please. I've been engaged in experiments which suggest that the atom can be artificially disintegrated. If it is true, it is of far greater importance than a war.
United Nations Radio presents Predicament at Dawn, a program about the problems, possibilities, and patterns of cooperation in a world being reshaped by science.
First of all, the question is there a predicament? And if there is, what is it? We submit the following situation, which may strike you as a little far-fetched and fanciful. In actual fact, it is simply uncommon. Our presentation is based upon reported fact. Citizen X of country Y is essentially a nervous type. Apprehensions grip him more frequently and with greater strength than is normal in his community. At the moment, he's responding to them with some reconstruction work in the basement of his house.
That should do it. Should be strong enough for the average blast. Of course, if it hits within 5 miles of us, well, too bad. Now, dear, did you bring all the supplies down?
Yes, I think they're all here.
Good. Let's take an inventory.
Right. 1 pick, 1 shovel.
For tunneling out or burrowing deeper.
Canned food, vitamin pills.
For balanced diet for 8 weeks or earlier if heavy rain reduces external radioactivity.
Packets of vegetable seeds.
For planting in any uncontaminated soil outside after we emerge.
Water tank.
For ration of 2 quarts per person per day.
1 battery-operated radio and batteries.
For contact with any transmitter that may remain on the air.
2 kerosene lamps, candles, flashlights.
For countering depressing effect of prolonged darkness.
Books, magazines, chess set.
For countering mental lethargy.
3 changes of clothing per person.
For maintenance of morale.
1 portable Geiger counter.
For checking efficiency of air filter and outside environment when we emerge.
A survival kit for Citizen X and his family. Very few of us, even in these uncertain times, would go to such extreme lengths. But his elaborate precautions do illustrate the nature of our basic predicament at this dawn of a new age. The social historian might explain it this way.
We're a curiously ambivalent species. While dinosaurs, dodos, and other defunct creatures are now found only in natural history museums, we've managed to survive because we're remarkably well equipped, biologically and psychologically. As individuals, there can be no argument about that. But since there are so many of us, we've been forced to adapt our talents for individual survival to the requirements of group survival. And this is where we're not so talented. We don't do too badly at the level of the local community, but when the group is the nation, we can get ourselves into some pretty messy situations, like civil war. Finally, at the international, the world level, our talent for group survival can be, well, rather primitive.
Now, of course, once upon a time, this didn't matter very much. In the days when war was rather sporty and knights were bold, the gallant fellow could gallop along a country lane in search of conflict, see a bucolic fellow digging turnips in a field, pull up his horse, and ask charmingly innocent questions.
Tell me, my good man, which way to the battle?
Straight ahead for half a mile. Turn left by the oak tree, then over the hill. Reckon they must all be lined up by now if they're going to be done with it by nightfall.
Thank you, my good man. Giddy up.
By nightfall, a few broken heads, some blood on the grass, and honor vindicated. And what's more, a high survival index. But today, the gallant knight has changed into the missile-borne megaton bomb, and into subtler means for mass extinction. Dr. Brock Chisholm, former Director General of the World Health Organization, has written,
"There are many possible biological weapons. Botulinus toxin is probably the most widely known, but influenza, brucellosis, tularemia, psittacosis, hoof and mouth disease, plague, cholera, smallpox, typhus, wheat rust, and many others have been experimented with. It is theoretically and perhaps practically possible by laboratory methods to increase the virulence of some of these agents to such an extent that they could break through the natural or artificially acquired immunities which now hold them in check. Whether or not this has been done is not known outside of highly restricted circles."
And to bombs and biologicals, add chemicals. Newspapers have recently reported the availability of certain agents known as anticholinesters, or nerve gases. How do they work? Press reports say,
"They interfere with the functioning of a chemical in the nervous system called choline, which is a vital link in the transmission of impulses from the brain to the body."
What are their effects?
Well, in liquid form, some of these nerve gases will kill almost instantly if as little as one drop touches the skin. Now, others act on muscles. They can relax them so completely that the body becomes paralyzed, or get the same effect by making them extremely rigid. Or you can mix the two effects and produce a sort of shaking palsy. Still another can destroy an individual's will to think, or even communicate with others.
Are there any antidotes? Can you do anything about it if a drop does fall on your skin?
Technically, yes. There are known antidotes, but in some cases they have to be applied within 30 seconds of exposure to the gas, which makes it a bit difficult when large populations are involved.
So, the odds, it appears, are not very good. The chances these days of maintaining any sort of survival index, high or low, would seem to be pretty slim, should we decide to pull out all the stops and attempt to settle our differences with bombs, bugs, and little bottles of gas. Our predicament is sharp and urgent. And realizing it, some people tend to make science the scapegoat. Isn't the bomb simply a technological application of pure physics? Isn't the ballistic missile simply a technological application of the physical laws of flight, of aerodynamics? Aren't nerve gases the result of chemical research? Enough, runs the not uncommon argument. Let the dogs sleep on, lest some meddlesome experimenter works a change in them, lest they rise as the dogs of war to cry the final havoc. For two reasons, the argument seems hardly fair. One concerns our talent for group survival, as reflected in our social and political institutions. We shall come to it later. The other is the obvious one that the applications of science need not be, and indeed are not, exclusively negative and destructive. So obvious, in fact, that it's easy to overlook it.
A new world is coming into being before our very eyes, yet men seem unaware of it.
A quote from a recent speech by a distinguished philosopher, Professor Gaston Berger, Director of Higher Education in France and President of the French National Commission for UNESCO. We quote again.
Before us lie unknown dangers, undreamed of adventures and countless inventions, the embryos of countless others, disquieting but grandiose and full of promise. That is the new world towards which we march.
Professor Berger made his speech in the great conference hall at UNESCO's new headquarters in Paris. He and 7 others, distinguished in such fields as agronomy, biology, chemistry, physics, and physiology, had been invited by the organization to express their thoughts, freely and as individuals, in a round-table discussion on science and mankind. Each, in the depth of his knowledge, could sense the disquieting dangers. Each, in the breadth of his horizon, could understand the predicament. But each found it possible to speak with confidence about the dawn. Here first, the chairman of their discussion, Lord Boyd Orr of the United Kingdom, first Director General of the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, and a great scientific fighter in the battle against hunger. He reminds us of the broad front on which we're advancing.
What has caught the imagination of the people of the world is the release of atomic energy and the talk about the atomic age. But other branches of science have advanced, science in agriculture and psychology and medicine and so on, and these advances are as great and as difficult and as important as the advances in physics and chemistry. Owing to the advances in medical science, 30 years had been added to the average length of life of children born today compared with infants born 50 years ago. Therefore, we would call it not the atomic age, it's the scientific age, the age of new science which has been developed in the last 30 or 40 years.
To the round table from the Soviet Union came Professor Nikolai Semenyov, winner of the Nobel Prize for Chemistry and director of the Institute of Physics and Chemistry at the Soviet Academy of Sciences. From the immediate past and the present, he looks ahead.
Но сейчас я хочу, в соответствии, собственно говоря, с тем, как этот день планировался, немножко помечтать о будущем, при том близком будущем, науке и ее применении.
I would like to dream aloud a little about the future, and not such distant future as that. Physicists will unquestionably master controlled atomic reactions, thus providing a source of unlimited power in any place of the globe. Chemists will understand the behavior of organic matter, explain the basic features of organic and non-organic matter, of heredity, etc. Among further leaps in science, I would like to mention a deeper understanding of heart activity, tumors. In agriculture, new types of plants and animal life will be created. Artificial, synthetic foods will become widespread. Machines will be built which will replace muscular activity, freeing mankind of heavy physical labor. Even more or less automatic mental activity could be mechanically reproduced. There will be needed only a minimum of time for labor, while the well-being will be at a maximum. The possibilities will be unlimited for education for all, thus enabling great development of human personality.
From India to the round table came Homi Jahangir Bhabha, director of the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Bombay, chairman of India's Atomic Energy Commission, and president of the UN's first Atoms for Peace Conference, Geneva, 1955. Looking at part of the predicament, the danger of too little food for too many people, he gave this view.
Modern science permits hunger to be abolished from the entire world. In India and in many countries of Asia, the productivity of agriculture per man remains the same as it has been for centuries. This shows that a mere application of present knowledge and techniques in these countries could easily solve the food problem in these areas. It is lavish use of fertilizer made possible and produced by modern industrial processes which is responsible for the greater productivity of the soil. Here we see directly the impact of the chemical industry, namely the production of fertilizer, on the productivity of agriculture. Now, the rate at which the production of food can be increased is far greater than the rate at which the population increases, which is 1.3% per annum in India. I emphasize this point because many people are under the misapprehension that the overpopulation and the increase in population in the underdeveloped areas is the cause of their low standard of living. This is clearly not so. Even with an increasing population, modern technology enables one to raise the standard of living of the people as a whole, because the rate of increase of production is much greater, or can be much greater, than the rate of increase of population.
As the discussion progressed, the details of the dawn came into clearer and clearer focus. Bernardo Husset of Argentina, one of the creators of endocrinology, the science of hormones, and William Noyes, the distinguished American chemist, spoke of research in nucleic acids, which points to the possibility of influencing heredity. Professor Blackett of the United Kingdom, originator of a technique known as operational research, by which executives acquire a scientific basis for making practical decisions, spoke of the role of science in closing the gap between the rich and poor nations of the world. Others spoke of the potential in medicine, nutrition, natural resources, and the social sciences. A rich feast was prepared for that round table, more than could possibly be condensed or digested in this brief program. So we'll confine ourselves to one more excerpt. Professor Semenov, you remember, said he wanted to dream aloud about the future, and we've heard part of his dream. Here is how it culminated.
The ideal is to create a happy life for all, not just for the few, not for one people, but for all peoples, without regard for race, creed, or nationality. And now there are real foundations for these possibilities. Enrichment of the few at the expense of others is considered by many, even now, to be immoral, and it must be rejected. In fact, the main obstacle to happy life on earth is not in the scientific limitations, but in the public order.
We're back with our predicament. In the light of the new dawn, our capacity for public order, our talent for group survival, falls short of our requirements. Our social and political machinery has an efficiency rating that's only fair. It's still subject to breakdown under stress, and this we can't afford anymore. It's much too dangerous. So, what's the sensible thing to do? Does science itself have the answer?
In the welter of conflicting fanaticisms, one of the few unifying forces is scientific truthfulness.
These are the words of the famous mathematician and philosopher Bertrand Russell.
By this I mean the habit of basing our beliefs upon observations and inferences as impersonal and as much divested of local and temperamental bias as is possible for human beings. This philosophical method can be extended to the whole sphere of human activity, producing a lessening of fanaticism with an increasing capacity for sympathy and mutual understanding.
Now, what's the implication here? A world governed by scientists? A sort of 20th century echo of Plato's Parliament of Philosophers? Probably not. Even if such a thing were desirable, it's hardly practicable. But since science and human affairs are now so closely welded, the world can certainly learn much from the spirit and practice of science. We recall the caption to an old stereotype picture. Surrounded by retorts, test tubes, Bunsen burners, and bottles, a man stands, wild of eye and shaggy of hair. In his hand, a surgeon's knife.
Give me your heart, dear. I'm making a monster.
The Mad Scientist, Dr. Frankenstein in a Dark Tower. It never was a good likeness. The scientist's search for truth may involve the domination of matter, but never men. And he cannot conduct his search in isolation. The success of his work demands the open and searching scrutiny of his colleagues. It was ever thus. Hence the great tradition of scientific cooperation, a tradition that has most certainly suffered from periodic interruptions. The secretive demands of war can amount to an almost total eclipse. But it has always risen free again, like the phoenix. And today, in the face of our predicament, there is evidence that it's taking on new and firmer forms.
New patterns for international collaboration are being constructed and tested. Some will enjoy success, and perhaps others will fail. But at least, men are rising to the challenge to provide opportunity to acquire benefits that international collaboration can provide.
That was Dr. Lloyd V. Berkner, President of the International Council of Scientific Unions, a body created by the scientists of the world themselves in 1932 as a point of contact between the academies and research councils of different countries. It was through the ICSU that most memorable exercise in cooperation, the International Geophysical Year, was first discussed. And the IGY, at the strictly technical level, was without doubt a magnificent example of the new patterns which can best be described as organized cooperation, as distinct from the valuable but generally spasmodic cooperation of the past. But there are many more examples, and some of them have sprung directly from political initiatives. They are direct reflections of the modern links between science, technology, and international affairs.
There is a way, there are ways, out of bondage and away from fear. There is a course open to us, a course which will lead us away from the fear-laden anxiety of competitive military buildup.
This is Mr. Sterling Cole, Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency.
It is a way by which constructive action can overcome the paralysis of exclusive dependence upon preparing for war in order to prevent war. History has shown that periods of balanced military power do not provide the dependable foundation for the permanent peace that we desire. Today we have an alternative course. We can relieve the pressure of dangerously competitive military preparation by turning our energies to constructive international operation, real joint operation by nations, action, not talk. That course is a conscious, concerted, coordinated effort to apply the benefits of modern technology to the welfare of mankind with something like the intensity and effectiveness with which we divert and distort the product of science to the demands of war. It is a course along which patriotism can be as productive for peace as it is preempted for war.
The Atomic Energy Agency, formally established by resolution of the nations assembled at UN headquarters in New York in 1956. Its prime purpose, informally expressed, to help guarantee that the atom shall serve and not slaughter mankind. But this is but part of a complex whole. Today, a wide spectrum of techno-social and techno-political problems are abroad. Consider some of them, and the response to them, both within and without the UN.
Radiation, from stratospheric fallout to shoe-fitting fluoroscopes.
Response, the United Nations Scientific Committee on the Effects of Atomic Radiation. Members from 15 countries.
Detection of nuclear tests as a step towards control.
Response, the meetings of experts in Geneva to evolve techniques. Members from 8 countries.
Outer space, tomorrow's arena for old rivalries or rich adventure.
Response, the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space, technical and legal. Members from 18 countries.
Basic research, meeting the cost when resources are limited.
Response, the European Centre for Nuclear Research at Geneva, sparked by UNESCO in 1950, built by 12 countries in partnership, open to all countries.
Health and hunger, forecasts and flight plans, education and technical aid.
Response, all the specialized agencies of the United Nations and the UN itself, each in its own allotment, but each part of the other. Membership virtually universal. "45 years ago, in 1914, a man in England wrote a book. It was the sort of book that, in those days, was described as an imaginative romance. Today, it would probably be called science fiction. Yet the author's mind and the book he wrote had qualities worthy of better labels. The book was called The World Set Free. The author was H.G. Wells. Echoing clearly still after 45 years is this passage.
Nothing could have been more obvious to the people of the early 20th century than the rapidity with which war was becoming impossible. And as certainly they did not see it. They did not see it until the atomic bombs burst in their fumbling hands. The catastrophe of the bombs, which shook men out of cities and businesses and economic relations, shook them also out of their old established habits of thought, and out of the lightly held beliefs and prejudices that came down to them from the past.
Have events and realities confirmed the Wellsian prognosis? In this program, we've set down some evidence of how science and technology are increasingly a vital influence in international affairs. It may be that, in the years ahead, the promotion of peace will have an almost exclusively technical character. But can we say that the organizations, the instruments, the agencies so far evolved to meet the new dawn are adequate to the task? Within them, deep-seated conflicts still reside. The deadlock and the stalemate can still impede our progress. Yet we have evolved them. They do exist. And not so long ago, they didn't. The only honest, though incomplete, conclusion is that our predicament remains unresolved. In our attitude towards it, both the pessimist and the optimist can still put up a case. But the men of science who sat at the UNESCO Round Table in Paris were unanimous in optimism.
Ladies and gentlemen, it can be done. I believe it will be done. I'm an optimist.
This, once again, is the chairman of that historic discussion, Lord Boyd Orr.
I'm getting an old man, but I hope to live to see the dawn of the wonderful new age, when war and the fear of war has been abolished, hunger abolished, disease abolished, when all the nations are working together in cooperation and in friendship and the common brotherhood of all men.
Having come so far and survived, what a pity it'd be if we disappointed the chairman and all his colleagues in all the sciences in all the lands, and indeed ourselves.
You have been listening to Predicament at Dawn, a program concerning the problems, possibilities, and patterns of cooperation in the scientific age. This program was written and produced by the international staff of United Nations Radio.
United Nations Radio presents a Halloween story, The Trial of Sergeant Bill.
I tell you, Chief, in the 40 years I've been on the police force, I've never asked for any favors. I've stopped runaway horses with my bare hands. I've even foiled a bank robbery single-handed. But I want Halloween night off.
Halloween, a night of ghosts and goblins. A night that puts to test the bravery of even the bravest of men, Sergeant Bill, the bravest cop in town. Is it possible that he's afraid of Halloween?
Reason for termination, nerves. Halloween nerves. Effective date immediately.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be off duty, Bill?
Yes, Chief. I was just filling out...
Oh, no, a request for termination. Then you weren't kidding.
I'll say I wasn't. I've been on this force for 40 years.
This doesn't make sense. I'd let you off that night, Bill, but you know we need every man we can get.
You think just one more man is going to stop those kids from dumping garbage cans, smearing windows, breaking...
Oh, come on now, Bill. Boys will be boys, especially on Halloween.
Oh, yes? Well, did you ever have to chase a kid on Halloween night? Then bring him into the station house on somebody's complaint because he swiped a gate or soaped a window? I've spent my life helping the little kids across the streets, refereeing football games after hours, making friends with them.
That's why we need you on Halloween. They'll listen to you.
Oh, don't kid yourself, Chief. These kids won't listen to anybody. You said it yourself. Boys will be boys. But I'm the one who has to drag them in the station house. They don't think they're doing wrong just because it's Halloween. They think I'm a traitor. Suddenly they're afraid of the law and they hate me. All my work down the drain in one night. Oh, no, thanks. I've done it for the last time.
So you hand in your badge with only 3 years to go before retirement.
Oh, well, the pension can wait.
Well, so can we. I tell you what, Bill. How'd you like to take a leave of absence until after Halloween?
Huh? What's the catch?
No catch. Let's call it combat fatigue, case of nerves. So take a week off, Bill. Go visit that pretty daughter of yours, the one that married that nice young cop upstate.
Say, you wouldn't be pulling my leg.
No, I shouldn't say not. We're not ready to lose the best man in the force. Not yet.
Now, this is what I call a nice, quiet town. No noise. No kids smearing up store windows. No firecrackers. Yes, sir. Daughter Judy really picked a nice place to live here. Just the kind of a town to make her daddy forget all about Halloween. Golly, I hope she got my telegram.
Whoa! I'm a ghost!
Holy mackerel! Help! Help!
Hi, Gramps. It's only me. Pretending for Halloween.
Oh, Halloween. Oh, no.
Sure. All of us kids are getting ready for our big time tomorrow night.
A nice, quiet town.
Hey, Ma! Grandpa's here!
Don't call your mother, Willie. I'm getting out while the getting's...
Dad! Oh, why didn't you let me know what time you were coming?
Oh, never mind, Judy.
So good to see you, Dad.
Oh, no,
Will you
no.
go call your father?
Okay.
No. Look, it's nice to see you, daughter. Goodbye.
But you just got here. Dad, what in the world is wrong?
Oh, well, nothing that a nice little trip to the North Pole wouldn't cure.
More coffee, Dad?
No, thanks, Tom. 2 cups are enough. My nerves, you know.
Oh, Dad, there's nothing wrong with your nerves.
Well, but I will have another piece of that pumpkin pie. If only it didn't remind me of Halloween.
But, gee, Gramps, I told you. Halloween is different in Hillside.
Now, don't ask me to believe that.
It really is, Dad. We're having a UNICEF Halloween, the same as last year.
Now, look, you can talk all you want, but I know kids and I know Halloween. And nothing you say is going to make me believe that boys and girls, out of the goodness of their little hearts, are going to be content with parades and penny collections and costume contests. You may be my son-in-law, Tom, and a good cop from all I hear tell, but when it comes to Halloween, you're talking to the greatest living expert on the subject. I expect the worst, so I'm getting while the getting's good.
Running out in your own family.
Who said so?
Judy's right, Dad. That's the way it looks to us.
Now, look here. I've been on the police force, man and boy, for 40 years. I've stopped runaway horses.
Gramps, why don't you stay and see for yourself what our UNICEF Halloween is really like?
Well, no.
I'll bake you a chocolate cake. 3 layers.
And you can be honorary Grand Marshal of the parade tomorrow.
Will you wear your medals, Gramps? Will you?
Well, you talked me into it. But if this town turns into a runaway circus tomorrow, don't say I didn't warn you.
And so, to bring our town of Hillside a little closer to the rest of the world, and to bring the rest of the world a little closer to us, we dedicate Halloween to UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund. On this one day of the year, at least, Main Street of America runs into the main streets of all the villages in Africa, Asia, Europe, and South America. And now, with our distinguished guest, Sergeant Bill, at the head of our march, let the parade begin.
Well, Gramps, what did I tell you?
Huh? It's still daylight, young feller. Wait till it gets dark. That's when the trouble starts. Wait and see.
It's 6 o'clock, Dad. Time for the collection.
Okay, and here's your milk box, Willie, and your official identification tag. Now, once more, you got your speech memorized?
Yes, sir. After I ring the bell and the door opens, I say, "Hello, trick or treat? Will you treat the children of the world to a better way of life? 2 out of every 3 children in the world don't have enough to eat or a decent place to live. You can help by giving to UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund. Trick or treat?"
That's the stuff, Willie. Well, Dad, what do you think?
Oh, it's a nice enough speech. But suppose he don't get a treat, but a trick. What then? Is he going to smear up windows or tip over garbage cans or...
Gosh, no, Gramps. If we did that, we'd never have time to collect all the money we need for UNICEF. Ready, Dad?
I'll be right with you, son. I'll meet you and the gang in front of the movie house, in the patrol car.
Right. See you later, Dad.
Well?
I don't know. I never would have believed that on Halloween night, me, Sergeant Bill, would be tagging along in a prowl car, collecting milk boxes full of pennies, nickels, and dimes for some kids on the other side of the world. Tell you this much, Tom, if this idea works out, I'm going to buy you the biggest and the best cigar in town.
Hello, trick or treat? Will you treat the children of the world? Gee, a whole quarter. Thanks, lady. 2 out of every 3 children in the world. What? You know all about UNICEF from a television program? Gee, I'll never get to say my speech. But my box is sure filling up. Thanks, mister.
Eight o'clock and all's well. Well, what do you think, Dad?
I don't know what to think. 2 hours of cruising around the streets, the town full of goblins and spooks, and not a single police call.
Calling car number 11. Patrol car number 11.
See, I told you so. You spoke too soon.
Car number 11 reporting. Patrol car 11. Over.
Halloween collection about over. No incidents reported. Repeat, no incidents reported. Bring in all UNICEF milk boxes immediately to Central High School Gymnasium for tally. Over.
Will do. Patrol car 11 on way to high school.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah, Lieutenant?
I bet you a cigar my kid wins the Halloween costume contest this year. My wife sat up all night making the craziest outfit you ever saw. Over.
You're on, Lieutenant. I'll be right over to collect my cigar.
parades, milk boxes, costume contest. What next?
Dad! Dad! Over here! Well, did you and Tom have a pleasant cruise?
It was the darndest thing I ever seen, Judy. Halloween night and not a single complaint. Hey, this dance a part of the celebration, too?
For the high school crowd. They've been working hard on our UNICEF Halloween, too.
Oh, yes? Well, where's the small fry?
Down in the basement, stuffing themselves with donuts and cider. It's all part of our new kind of Halloween.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Okay, it's time.
Huh? Time for what?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Shh. Listen.
Boys and girls of Hillside. As mayor of this fair and generous town, it's my extreme pleasure to report that this year, through the good offices of the local churches and synagogues, and with the cooperation of the Hillside Police Department, the PTA, the local Chamber of Commerce, and the Citizens National Bank, which counted tonight's milk box collection on its new electric coin machine, the Hillside Halloween contribution for UNICEF hit a new all-time high. A total of $376.42. Said money to be forwarded tomorrow morning to the United Nations Children's Fund for milk and medicine for sick and hungry children all over the world. And now, on to our next Halloween highlight, the judging of costumes.
Here's where I collect that cigar from Lieutenant Wilson.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, according to the careful consideration of the judges, the prize for the most colorful costume this year, a tie for first prize between Willie Moore, the son of Patrolman Tom Moore, and Bobby Wilson, the son of Lieutenant Wilson.
Well, sir, it looks like the cigars are on me, Tom. Oh, no, not just on account of the costumes either, but for what you and Judy and Willie, in fact, what the whole town of Hillside showed me about Halloween. If folks here can have as good a time as I've just seen, well, sir, there's no reason, no, sir, absolutely no reason in the world why my town and every town in the country couldn't have themselves a UNICEF Halloween. I've never seen so many spooks and goblins do so much good for so many people and still have themselves a good old-fashioned Halloween. Like I said, I've been on the police force, man and boy, for 40 years, and I have never...
Today's Halloween story, The Trial of Sergeant Bill, is based on the work of the United States Committee for UNICEF, one of the many organizations which work for and believe in the United Nations. The Trial of Sergeant Bill was transcribed and produced by the international staff of United Nations Radio.
Lowell Thomas speaking. Hold up the mirror of history, the rear vision mirror reflecting time. What do you see? A vast labyrinth of chance and accident? A maze of whim and caprice? Or do you see a long, endless stream responding to the contours of time and circumstance, but flowing still from an ancient source to the present? The image in the mirror may be seen in different ways, but within it lies the story we have to tell.
Thank you, Lowell. This is United Nations Day. 11 years ago, on October 24th, 1945, the New World Organization began its task to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war and to promote progress and better standards of life in larger freedom. And to mark this 11th anniversary, United Nations Radio presents Lowell Thomas in 3 Buildings by a River.
I would like to start by taking an inventory. Two of my colleagues here have checklists in hand, and the operation will only take a moment.
All right. Item 1, 18 acres of land by the river.
Check.
3 buildings, 2 quite low, 1 very tall.
All standing in good repair. Check.
Contents extensive and varied, including statues from Greece, Indonesia, Yugoslavia, murals from France, Norway, and the Dominican Republic, tapestry from Belgium, nickel doors from Canada.
Check.
1 pagoda and bell from Japan, carpets from Iran, India, and Britain, 2,300 multilingual typewriters.
Look, why don't we forget the office equipment and all that? Seems to me the meaning of it all is much more important.
I agree. Make a note, then, of the hopes, strivings, and aspirations of men, and of the world's will to live.
Check.
The United Nations, 18 acres and 3 buildings beside the East River in New York. They serve as both a workshop and a symbol in steel, concrete, marble, and glass, a symbol of an idea with origins so far back along the mainstream of history that it is difficult to say that is when it was born. But if you look eastward and backward to the 6th century before Christ, you will find men like Lao Tse, Confucius, Gautama Buddha, and Zarathustra expressing thoughts like these.
Within the 4 seas, all men are brothers.
Such is the law which moves to righteousness, which none can at last turn aside or stay. The heart of it is love. The end of it is peace. Obey.
The concept of oneness, of the essential unity of all mankind. One can interpret all history as the record of our endeavors to transform the idea into a political and social reality. To begin with, and for many centuries, the only accepted method was conquest and subjugation. Consider Alexander the Great. By the 4th century B.C., Alexander had dominion over most of the known world from Greece to India. And yet, there was vast historic value in his achievement. As H.G. Wells said in his Outline of History,
The career of Alexander was the first revelation to the human imagination of the oneness of human affairs. Before he was dead, the conception of a world law and organization was a practicable and assimilable idea for the minds of men.
After Greece came Rome, where the technique of conquest was developed with remarkable efficiency.
I came, I saw, I conquered.
Julius Caesar's famous dispatch from the field. Yes, with Rome, unity, law, and order were imposed from above. The existence of equal and independent states was then an absurd notion. After the fall of Rome, even the limited virtues of imperial unity were lost. Europe entered the long night of political and intellectual sterility, and the East withdrew behind the Mongol curtain of Genghis Khan. In 1648, the Treaty of Westphalia brought to an end 30 years of bloodshed and religious strife in Europe. One clause in that treaty reads,
Henceforth, let trade and travel be free. Above all, let the navigation of the Rhine be free. No party to this treaty shall be allowed to impede, detain, arrest, or in any way harm shipping.
A minor detail, yes, but significant. An early reflection of the need for cooperation. After Westphalia, we can detect the gradual emergence of nation-states in the modern sense. With nation-states came rivalries and imperial ambitions. The struggle for colonies in America and in the East provides ample evidence of their vigor. But new forces were soon to rise above the horizon, forces destined to reshape the world, to shrink it, and drive men along new avenues of political and social action. We're in Birmingham, in England, in 1785. A mill owner is visiting the workshop of a Mr. James Watt, instrument maker and inventor.
So this is your steam engine, Mr. Watt?
Aye.
Tell me, do you think it'll drive my machinery as well as my horses do?
Aye, it'll do the work of 6 horses, and cheaper.
I'll believe that when I see it.
How much do you feed those horses of yours?
Oh, to keep them fit, 15 pounds of hay each a day.
You're wasting money, man. This engine will do the same work for you on 25 pounds of coal.
The technical revolution, first in industry, then in transport. The age of iron and steam, and later electricity. The age of the factory town, the railway, the steamship. Instantaneous communication between states and even continents, suddenly exceeding all dreams. Remoteness and isolation began to fall away, and men were forced to think in new terms about the relations between states. The 19th century political response to the technical challenge has been described by historians as
the age of consultation, the age when the foreign offices of Europe began to accept the conference table as a normal way of managing their external affairs. Right through the century there was a succession of conferences ranging over such subjects as patents and copyrights, health and railways, river commissions and agriculture.
And in 1865, reporters in Paris put this message on the wires.
20 countries today signed the International Telegraph Convention, designed to remove obstacles to the efficient operation of the electric telegraph. To administer the convention, a permanent organization.
Thus, the first permanent international organization came into existence. The International Telecommunications Union, today a member of the UN family. But we mustn't run too far ahead. Though the new environment demanded that states attempt to live by an agreed design, old habits and attitudes are not changed in a day. When Queen Victoria's consort, Prince Albert, suggested holding the first international exhibition in London in 1851, there were members of the House of Commons who greeted the idea with marked suspicion.
I predict, Mr. Speaker, that if this exhibition is held, our beloved country will be overrun by hordes of foreign rogues and revolutionaries sworn to corrupt the people and destroy all faith and loyalty in the land.
But the great exhibition was held and was a resounding success. 19th century confidence in technical progress and rational, orderly behavior in consultation surged on until 1914, the First World War. The age of consultation came to an abrupt end. As the fighting raged, men began to realize that occasional consultations, however numerous, were not enough. It was not enough for statesmen to gather from time to time to discuss this problem or that. One of the men who saw clearly the new and urgent needs was Woodrow Wilson, and in 1917 he spoke to the Congress of the United States.
If the peace presently made is to endure, it must be made secure by the organized major forces of mankind. A general association of nations must be formed by treaties which would mutually guarantee the political independence and the territorial integrity of all states.
Out of such thoughts and needs came the League of Nations. But as we know, the League failed. It was a noble attempt, but it failed. Failed because those willing to cooperate were too few, and because even among the willing, the elements of an earlier age, cynicism, indifference, still lingered on. The result? A second world war. A war more terrible than any before. so terrible that its lesson was clear to all.
When on that August day in 1945 the bomb fell on that eastern city, it changed the total environment of human existence. We all realized, statesmen, businessmen, farmers, doctors, that the age-old ideals of philosophy had become the imperatives of politics. What was desirable before was now unavoidable. Against the fission of the atom, there could only be the fusion of men.
So it was with these certainties that the statesmen gathered at San Francisco in the summer of 1945 to draft a new charter for the world. 4 months later, on October 24th, 11 years ago, the new world organization, the United Nations, formally began its work. There is a force, wrote Victor Hugo, greater than the force of armies. It is the force of an idea that has come into its time. We, on this anniversary, have looked back, albeit briefly, along the main stream of history. We have seen how the United Nations represents the summit to which all the centuries have pressed. Perhaps it is more than mere coincidence that just as history itself began beside the great rivers of the ancient world, so the new indivisible world of today and tomorrow has a great workshop and symbol in those 3 buildings beside the East River.
18 acres of land by the river.
Check.
3 buildings, 2 quite low, 1 very tall.
All standing in good repair. Check.
3 buildings standing for the force of an idea which has come into its time.
Three Buildings by a River. You have just heard Lowell Thomas in a special program commemorating the 11th anniversary of United Nations Day. Produced by the international staff of United Nations Radio, this program was presented in cooperation with the United States Committee for the United Nations.
How do you do, sir? How do you do, ma'am? Glad to have you with us. Won't you take a seat?
Thank you, Mr. Fadiman. That was Clifton Fadiman, and this is United Nations Day. This is also the 10th anniversary of the UN. The United Nations has been in business for only 10 years, but the business of diplomacy has been going on for some time. We thought we'd ask Clifton Fadiman to take you on a short trip through the land of diplomacy. So have a seat, won't you? Right here at the conference table, while United Nations Radio presents Clifton Fadiman in Your Seat at the Table.
It's the year 1900 or thereabouts, about half a century ago, and we are on a diplomatic errand. The gilt-encrusted, tapestried walls of the great chancellery surround us. We're in the company of the ambassador of Country X, who's just been ushered into the office of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Country Y. The preliminary courtesies have been coldly and crisply exchanged, for the ambassador's business is tense and serious.
Excellence.
At the turn of the century, French was still the language exclusively used in diplomacy. The ambassador is speaking.
J'ai reçu l'ordre d'obtenir de votre Excellence l'assurance que les clauses secrètes du traité de Barcelone ne seront plus l'objet de violation.
I am instructed to seek the assurances of Your Excellency that no further violation of the secret clauses of the Treaty of Barcelona is contemplated.
Faute de quoi, je me vois obligé de vous faire savoir qu'une mobilisation partielle de la flotte sera la seule mesure à laquelle mon gouvernement puisse.
Feeling which I am regretfully compelled to inform you that a partial mobilization of the fleet will be the only recourse left to my government.
Excellence, j'ai l'honneur de vous saluer.
You see,
The business of countries with one another was carried on, as it had been for centuries, in the privacy of chancelleries and embassies. Much of it still is today, but much of it is not. All sorts of things happen in the open, and all sorts of things happen as routine in the diplomatic world of today, which would have caused both excellencies in the preceding scene to have gasped. Come with us briefly on a diplomatic mission of the present day.
We're here at the pigsty of Anyang Laboratory, and we have quite a few pigs. Baby pigs, mama pigs, papa pigs, all ready to be inoculated with the hog cholera vaccine. Are you ready with your needle? Oh, yes. That must hurt. Let's move on to the next one now. Ouch. Oh, this is quite a big pig. He looks very stubborn. That's done. Well, that hurts a little, but you'll be all right. Thank you very much, Dr. Yu.
Don't let's mislead you. We're not saying that a great question of war and peace can be sized up against a pig being inoculated in an Asian veterinary laboratory. But what we are saying is that we live in the age of a new diplomacy, a diplomacy of which the white walls of the laboratory are as valid an expression as the tapestry chancellery, which leads us for a moment to a consideration of the word diplomacy itself.
Diplomacy, let me see. Diplomacy. The management of, skill in managing international relations.
And we say that diplomacy is new today. Well, what is new in diplomacy? A United Nations observer supplies part of the answer.
Well, to begin with, a lot of the diplomacy today is carried out right in the open, as you've just heard. If one country doesn't like what another one is doing, there are no longer notes threatening to mobilize the fleet, but the matter may come before the Security Council if it amounts to a threat to the peace, or before the General Assembly. Much of the international business of the day, then, is carried on in the United Nations. Often some of this business is talked over in private among the member delegations before it's brought into a conference room. When it is, the United Nations is pledged to open session. And the occasions when a UN organ itself will close its doors are few and far between. Of course, there are some people who believe that all this public diplomacy isn't necessarily a good thing, that private negotiation might often bring about better results. There are others, though, who would like some mixture of the two, public and private diplomacy. But the result of all this is that issues which come before the United Nations now must be argued out in the light of principles of the United Nations Charter, and not necessarily in terms of national self-interest alone. In fact, it's now incumbent upon member nations to show that the solution that they're pressing for would best serve the purposes agreed to at San Francisco 10 years ago. And foremost among those purposes is the ideal of a peaceful world. That's another essentially unique thing about diplomacy today, the character of this thing we call peace. This search for peace is an immense one, of course, and it lands us up squarely among the root causes of war: disease, poverty, oppression, ignorance. Each of these is in turn a very large fight indeed.
Thank you. Now, let's take this matter of scope, for instance. The things which come to the United Nations for consideration amaze even those who deal with them daily. Not only pig pens in Asia, but maternal welfare clinics in Yugoslavia, fundamental education centers in Liberia, the construction of hydroelectric dams in El Salvador, even such highly specialized problems as deciding what the ideal runway length for a modern airport should be. All the year round, these questions come in for discussion and decision. Just listen to the range. Here are some samples.
Nicaragua wants a man to help them run their census for them.
Can technical assistance provide?
Togoland is trust territory. Should we allow it to enter an administrative union with the Gold Coast?
What is the Council's view?
What is the most useful work we can do to reduce discrimination in the fields of travel and education?
Refer to the Subcommission for Protection of Minorities.
Korean schools are desperately short of textbooks. Can we help them with printing equipment and paper?
Send it to the UNCRA Planning Board.
Routine searches last week resulted in the confiscation of 400 kilos of heroin. The traffic is increasing. What international action can we take to reduce it?
Pass that to the Secretary of the Narcotics Commission.
How can Canadian progress in polio research be most effectively made known to doctors in Indonesia?
That's a World Health Organization matter.
There are only 13 television channels available in the VHF band. If we give you the 4 you ask for, other countries will have to go without. See the problem?
Item for consideration by ITU.
Arsenic, benzene, and other poisonous materials are regularly used in industry. They're dangerous to workers. Can ILO promote research on less harmful substitutes which will still do the job required?
By Pouch to Geneva.
What are you people doing in your part of the world about this juvenile delinquency problem?
For the Social Commission. What you've just heard is a list of questions, a fragmentary and partial list. They come from countries or groups of countries, and they demand answers. In most cases, the answers are forthcoming. In those cases where a question or an issue is important enough, and no immediate answer is possible, the matter is often kept under continuing review. Most of the questions in this category are the thorny or complex political issues, the ones we call the perennials. Often, issues are brought to the United Nations which have lain unsolved for centuries. They're bound up with intricate religious or ethnical factors, and progress is often slow. Like all major questions and most minor ones, these issues come into the forum. They are brought, in fact, to the conference table. We turn now to the conference officer.
The conference table has expanded, not only in size but in scope. There are more countries around it, and many more issues are laid upon it for consideration. Its membership and scope would not have been dreamt of a century or even a decade ago. The United Nations family, its allied and associated agencies, form an impressive network of international cooperation. The councils, commissions, committees, subcommittees, working groups, what have you, all do a tremendous job. And mark this, it's done at the express wish of the nations of the world. The United Nations is merely an instrument to be used by the nations.
Now, what happens in UN conference rooms is often vitally important, sometimes historic. The fabric can, however, be technical, specialized, and, on occasion, even boring to the uninitiated.
I must say, sir, on a point of order, that the purpose of my sub-amendment document A/AC12/14 Corrigendum 2 to the Bolivian amendment to the Thailand resolution was to clarify the intent of the parties and bring the final resolution into consonance with the procedural proposals submitted by the four delegations.
Well, that, of course, is conference room language, meaningless unless you happen to know the background from which it stems, and that background may be very important. At other times, the technicalities may be baffling.
If the per capita increase registered in the last fiscal year is maintained at 1.025% or better, then we may expect a relative rise in yield, calculated conservatively.
But almost invariably, the reason, the cause, the need is neither technical nor boring. And most of the time, the decisions reached involve you, sometimes directly. The world's business is carried on all over the globe we inhabit. But the main center, the heart of all this activity, is the building I'm speaking to you from, the UN headquarters here in New York. In these steel and concrete buildings at the East River, there may be held as many as 14 international conferences a day.
Hello, conference coordination. This is order of the day. I have the lineup for tomorrow. Can you take it? Conference Room 1, Special Political Committee. Conference Room 3, Trusteeship Committee. Conference Room 5, Political and Security Committee. Security Council Chambers and Security Council. That's all. Thank you.
It's probably true to say that there is no important aspect of your daily life, from awakening to eating, working, traveling, reading, which has not a significant relationship to the United Nations. What happens in and to the United Nations is a tremendous concern to much of life you take for granted. You are, in fact, on the agenda. We all are, and each of us has a seat at the table. Your lightest footfall may echo in Sumatra, Mozambique, or Mexico. Your need may, though you don't know it, resound strongly in the halls of negotiation. And that is why we have invited you today, on this 10th anniversary of the United Nations, to take your seat at the table.
Your special narrator was Clifton Fadiman. This special program was Your Seat at the Table. It was prepared and produced by the international staff of United Nations Radio, presented and distributed by the U.S. Committee for the United Nations.
United Nations Radio now presents the distinguished actor Mr. Albert Decker in a special dramatic performance, The Story of Nicholas Mitetich.
In a few moments, I shall be speaking to you as Nicholas Mitetich, a refugee from Camp Pasch on the outskirts of Salzburg in Austria. You may like to hear a short extract of a broadcast Mitetich himself recorded a short while ago, as it may help to bring you nearer to his personality and character. He speaks in French, as he did not know English, but I shall translate as we go along.
Mon moral est très bon. Peut-être c'est ma voix qui me tienne. Peut-être c'est mon mentalité, mon caractère est tel que je ne prends jamais une chose de très mauvaise côté. Je pense toujours
My morale
qu'il y en a
is
de
good,
temps quand sera mieux.
because I have faith,
Que cette espérance
because I never see the
je
worst
ne
side of
comprends pas
things.
moi-même.
I always think there will be better times ahead.
Beaucoup des hommes
I have read about people in my situation who thought of suicide. I never.
Moi, je n'ai pas pensé jusqu'à
I have reconciled myself with my
Je me
fate.
suis
It
réconcilié
is
avec
difficult
cette
sometimes,
destinée,
but I
je
live.
la supporte. Je ne la supporte pas facilement, mais quand même, je la supporte et je vis.
United Nations Radio, in cooperation with the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, presents Albert Decker as Mitetich.
Your name? Nicholas Mitetich.
Age?
38.
Profession?
Lawyer?
Position in your former country?
District Commissioner.
Health?
Good.
And any other qualifications?
I speak 4 languages. My name is Mitetich. Nicholas Mitetich. It is written on the cover of many files, on the papers inside these files. Name, age, profession, health, personal history. And these files rest in consulates, in immigration offices, and with people who have been trying to help me, in many filing cabinets marked under the letter M. There my name is just another case. A case perhaps more difficult to solve than others. But in the country where I come from, the name Metetich stood for something, at least in the province and in the small town where I was born. For centuries, there had always been a Metetich to attach his name to some work for our people. I was brought up, having it hammered into me that I had to live up to the family tradition. In fact, after I completed my studies, I entered the government service, and when I was 30, was appointed district commissioner in our town. I was a man with a solid career, who could one day hope to hold high positions. I married, bought a home, had servants. My wife and I were happy. Perhaps not so happy as I thought we were at the time. But after all these years, I don't know. She, like my life in my hometown, is a vision of the past, a picture seen in a cracked mirror. The world in which I lived, which had grown on traditions hundreds of years old, which from my boyhood I saw as an order of society as natural as leaves on a tree, exists no more, except in the memories of those who remember. And with this world has gone the man Metetich, whose name meant something. Now it is a name written in indelible ink on a gray piece of cardboard which I have nailed on the door of my room. There it has been for the best part of the last 13 years. My room has one window and wooden walls. It is 9 by 12 feet. There is an iron bed, a cupboard closed with a curtain, a small wooden table, one chair, and a little black stove. On this black stove, I have a water kettle. I have a teapot and 2 cups in case there is a visitor. I have 1 plate, 3 spoons, a fork and 2 knives. An alarm clock stands on the wooden table. On the wall hangs a calendar, witness of time passing. I am a man who has to live on charity, on 300 shillings a month, Austrian shillings, that is, or about $12. With this, I pay my food, my cigarettes, and such other things as I may need. I have not to pay for light, for coal, or for rent of the room. From my window, I see rows of other barracks. Above the black roofs, and the gray smoke curling from the chimneys, I can see the mountains, and to the east, the spires of the churches, and the dome of the Cathedral of Salzburg not far away. My neighbors are old people, invalids, middle-aged men and women, and their children. Often I think, what are we but the stragglers of an army that passed and has gone? An army of men and women who have found what they needed, a place to live decently, a job, and a home. But I have not found that. I am a man who can call nothing his own but his name and his memories. Would I, knowing what I now know, would I still take the decision I took that June day in 1945? The answer is yes. Yes. It was not the ambitious district commissioner thinking of his career who made the decision, but a man who had changed. I had gone through the war, fighting, killing, and seeing my brothers die, living the nightmare of attack, retreat, defeat, a hunted animal, and finally a prisoner in a cage. It was in 1941 that I was made a prisoner of war. I emerged from the days of soldiering and the first bewilderment of the captured man. Even in the suffering of physical discomforts and the anxieties of exile, the prisoner of war lives on hope. He has time to think. He sees his country no longer from within, beheld from the threshold of his ambition. He sees it more clearly as an expression of a way of life that is inherently good, but which can and must be improved. The future is not a stretch of time in which he plays, above all, a part for his own benefit. It is a deep wave that must carry better things forward for himself and for all the others who are his people. That was the frame of mind in which I was when war came to an end. The end of the war affected us prisoners in different ways. There were those who went wild with rejoicing, and those who suddenly came to realize that the old traditions in our countries were swept away for new ideas and methods, for a way of life we could not accept. What to do? This was the crucial and personal question which each of us had to answer. I gave it that day in June 1945, when we left our prisoner of war camp and were taken to a place near the border where we faced a group of officers from our own country, wearing uniforms we did not know. One of them spoke to us.
Your country wants you back. Your friends wait for you.
From where we stood, we could see the land stretching out toward the mountains, some 30 miles away, the mountains of our country. It was a clear day with a warm sun, yet there was snow on the peaks, and we knew that behind those mountains were the villages and towns where our own people lived, our wives and children. We stood in silence. No man asked his neighbor what he was going to do. No friend took counsel from his friend.
Your own country gives you the chance of a new start.
But when the officer stopped speaking, I remained silent. This was the moment of decision. The man who did not go back now would never see his family again. Not his wife, not his children, not his father, not his mother. I refused to return, and so did the others. We had to make this sacrifice to give deeper meaning to everything in which we believed.
Your name?
Nicholas Mitetich.
Age?
38.
Profession?
Lawyer.
Mm-hmm. Position in your former country?
District Commissioner.
Health?
Good.
Any other qualifications?
I speak 4 languages. My name goes into a file. My personal history is written down. Resettlement officers come from many countries, and always the same procedure.
Your name?
Nicholas Mitetich.
Age?
39.
Name?
Nicholas Mitetich.
Age?
40.
Name?
Nicholas Mitetich.
Age?
41. And at the end of every interview...
Sorry, but we don't need lawyers.
But I am ready to do anything. Work in a shop, clean offices, be a messenger boy, anything.
Sorry, but we cannot help you. Next, please.
Yes, the farmers, the shoemakers, the road workers, the foresters, the mechanics, provided they were strong in body and limb, could go. Every day some of them parted, and we stood around wishing them Godspeed, thinking one day we shall be lucky. If I had seen more clearly in myself, recognized realities, maybe I would have known then that my future was not over the seas. But hope, false hope, illusions can be as destroying as drugs. They befog the mind. rob you of your judgment. The shock came when I heard the death of my wife, my mother, father. For long there had been no news. Then a Red Cross card brought the tidings. Now I was truly alone, but I lived. And I still had to make something of this life. I must get away from this camp. For days I walked about thinking. The road that had brought me so far had abruptly ended. Everything I had prepared myself for, everything I had learned, everything I knew could help me no longer. I was standing in front of an abyss with no bridge in sight. I had tried to make some money by helping to dig ditches, build roads. I was not strong enough to become a manual laborer. I was not clever enough with my hands to become a mechanic. What could I do? Perhaps someday one country would be needing a tailor. I reckoned without fate. But first, I must tell you about Julia. It was in May 1952 that I saw her for the first time. I was sitting in front of my barrack with Ravotich, listening to Vedorov play on his guitar. Dusk was falling. In the far-off courtyard, some children were still playing, but most had gone to bed. A few other families sat out in the open. Then I saw the girl. She was wearing a long gray coat and a white blouse that made a pleasant contrast with her tanned skin and her fair hair. She looked not more than 18, although, as I learned later, she was 20. She came toward us, and Ravotich got up, his face beaming. He introduced her as his fiancée. Something very strange happened to me. Like the others, I rose to greet her. But as she and Ravotich walked away, it was as if all my loneliness and all the uselessness of my life was burning deep inside me, like being focused by a magic lens on one point. I think I must have fallen in love with her straight away. Ravotich told me her story a few days later. She had come from her country 2 months earlier. He had known her in his village as a little girl. Now they planned to go to Canada together. I saw much of Julia the following weeks. Ravotich and I were good friends. He lived in a room next to mine. It was natural, therefore, that we should be together during the evenings. Sometimes he and I went to the community hall where Julia had started to train a choir. She had been a teacher, and she herself had a pretty voice. I don't think either Julia or Ravotich noticed my feelings at this time. I did not want them to. This was a burden I had to carry alone. It would have been wrong to complicate their lives. Ravotich had a future, and I had none. Not yet. But we reckoned without fate. One day the social worker came excitedly to see Ravotich. She brought with her his final papers for the visa, the tickets for his journey, the letters of introduction to his sponsor in Canada. A visa can be the key to a new life. It can also be the source of a deep conflict. In some families, it marks the moment of joyful packing. In others, it causes a heart-burning search. All can go except the child, except the father, except the grandmother, because of bad eyesight, a weak heart, a spot on the lung, an illness, described in the regulations as reasons for barring their entry. The family asks themselves, will they leave the one behind, or will they all stay and forego their chance? The situation was not so bad for Ravetich. He was not yet married to Julia. There was no reason why Julia should not join him later, after she had spent the minimum 2 years that have to be spent waiting in a camp before the visa can be granted. And so Ravetich went. After he had gone, Julia and I continued to see each other. Because she was lonely, perhaps, she would come and mend my socks and clothes for me, cook my dinner, spend some evenings with me. Until then, my meals had been very simple. Pour water into a kettle, boil the water, make tea, buy a loaf of bread, a piece of butter, breakfast, lunch, dinner. But now, Julia brought order into my life and companionship and the challenge of another mind. Understand me, I loved Julia, but I tried to hide my feelings. I was much older than she, and she was the girl of my friend. Yet in Julia herself, a kind of affection grew, a gentleness towards someone who maybe gave her a feeling of security. She would linger by my side, touch my hand, and one night she stayed. In a camp where men and women feel cut off from the rest of the world, where there is so little to which one can cling, the presence of a friend takes the place of everything, all the absent ones, all the memories of the past.
Name?
Nicholas Mitetich.
Age?
48.
Profession?
Tailor.
Through this door, please. The doctor will see you.
The humming of an X-ray machine.
Come back in 2 days' time.
And 2 days later...
Sorry, but you have a patch on the lung. No visa.
I could have asked of Julia the sacrifice I had no right to accept. She would have stayed with me, married me, even to living years and years in this camp. But what would her love have become if on it she would have to blame later the loss of her youth and of her future? What I did is quickly told. I wrote to Ravetich. I told him the truth of what had happened. I implored him to do what he could for Julia, to be her sponsor, so that she might receive a visa. 6 months later, the visa came. She left Camp Pash for Canada. The photograph of her marriage is on the wall of my room. I read somewhere that when the spirit of a man dies, his body withers. A few weeks after Julia had gone, I had my first heart attack. Then the signs of a crippling rheumatism appeared. I was sent to a sanatorium. My heart got better, but the rheumatism worsened. When I returned to the camp, I was a cripple who needed 2 sticks to walk. I was broken in body and in mind. There is not much I can say about the time passing in the camp. I cared too little to notice anything going on around me. But somewhere in my subconscious, not everything had gone dead. It was Christmas 1955 when I attended service at our church, surrounded by other people like myself, when I became aware of a great peace, a contentment almost, because I was allowed to worship, to be present at the great mystery of religion, and to receive the gift of this chant and music. Like in an illuminated book of hours, it was suddenly revealed to me that life was not only the power to achieve, but the blessing of thinking, speaking, and being at one with others. It was not waiting for death, as I believed, but the growing awareness of all the thoughts in one's heart. Life is like the icon of the Holy Trinity: love, faith, and charity. And love is the greatest of them all. I did not at once return to life. The moment of peace passed, and again I was plunged in gloom and bitterness. Yet times returned when I could smile again and laugh. Some weeks later, the social worker came to my room for a long chat. She came to tell me that our camp had been adopted by people in England and in Belgium. They wanted someone to tell them about the needs in the camp and to advise them how they could best help. They wanted a refugee to do this, and the social worker asked whether I would do it. I accepted. Until now, I had been concerned with my own fate only. Every thought of mine, every feeling, had been about the man Mitetich. Now I had to learn about the worries and the anxieties of others, to listen to their histories and experiences, and try to gain their confidence. It was at this time that the churches, the Jews, the Catholics, and Protestants, together with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, began working on a plan to help all the families living in the camp. In many cases, I served as a go-between for the counselors and the families. In others, I had to try and convince the counselors that the plans of my friends were really based on serious thinking. As our old Archbishop Stefan once said, "Those who believe will be stopped by nothing. But there are those also faint of heart, who only love can help." Yes, when I think of some in the camp, it seems that there is no love strong enough to reach out and pull them back into life. I can see them passing before my window, beards unshaven, eyes troubled with drink, walking from their room to the canteen, and from the canteen back to their room. They are those who have shut their hearts because when everything failed, they were too afraid to go on living, but were too frightened to die. These men and women for whom forgetting is the only consolation, there is perhaps no other way to be helped than by letting them look at someone who might be more miserable even than they.
How can you talk of a future? You, a cripple, a useless fellow.
Yes, perhaps there is nothing for me. But you are not crippled. You could still try. And sometimes they laugh. Sometimes they go away silent. May God help them in their loneliness. We have been told that if we get enough help, that the camp could disappear by next year. And I hope for a small flat with simple furniture, a balcony, a bathroom, in one of the new houses built by the United Nations. I shall take with me my icon of the Holy Trinity, the prayer book my father gave me, the photograph of Julia, and all the letters I have received from friends, those who have left the camp and those who helped us. My life in the camp will then be over, a life that began 13 years ago, when I gazed over the mountains and made my decision to stand by the things in which I believed. Nicholas Smittitich died early in December 1958, a few weeks before he could leave the camp. His bishop said of him, he was a light amongst his people.
You have been listening to Albert Decker as Mittitich. The program was produced by Gerald Keane and Eric Walters, text written by Stanley Wright, with songs and music recorded in refugee camps in different parts of Europe. This has been a presentation of United Nations Radio in cooperation with the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees.
The American Broadcasting Network, in cooperation with United Nations Radio, presents Julie Harris in Birthday Party.
Now, please turn right, Hans. It's that building over there. The one with the sign at the entrance, Office of the High Commissioner for Refugees. Now, you leave me here and come back in half an hour. I have to be back in the camp by 6. Thank you, Hans. For a man who doesn't know the town, you've done very well indeed.
Hello, Erica.
Hello, Mr. Reeves.
Nice day, isn't it? I believe Mrs. Peterson has some rather interesting news for you.
Really? I had a feeling she would.
Well, you don't seem very excited.
Well, Mr. Reeves, you know how it is. We're waiting all the time. The years roll by and still we go on waiting. When something finally comes through, we don't dare believe it.
Erica, now you know. Once you have the visa in your hands and the plane ticket...
I suppose that might make a change.
Of course it will. You're young, Erica. When you've really woken up to your good fortune, let me know, will you? I could do with a good excuse to paint the town red, and when I say red, I mean red.
What a gory idea.
It would shock the tourists, all right.
What have you got against the tourists, Mr. Reeves? They mean well.
I know they mean well, but there are so many of them, and they look at you with such vacant faces.
But what do you expect? It's an industry, or rather, a deep human experience, safely second-hand. You keep forgetting that.
Oh, no, I don't. But you see, I'm against all forms of industry on principle.
Cynic. Oh, well, I suppose I ought to be getting along. See you, Mr. Reeves.
See you, Erica. Bless you.
Mrs. Peterson?
Come in, dear.
How are you, Mrs. Peterson?
I'm all right, thank you.
I'm so glad.
So glad? Why? Do I look as if I'd been struck by lightning or something? I said I was all right. Surely there's no need to stare at me like that.
I'm sorry.
And how are you? You look a bit under the weather today, Erica. I've a feeling you've been spending too much time wondering when your application is going to come through, now that your mother...
Oh, no, Mrs. Peterson. I've always known for sure you'd get it for me one day.
Your confidence wasn't totally misplaced, my dear. Guess what I have here? Read it. I think it'll make quite a difference.
Just a minute, Mrs. Peterson. I must tell you something.
Oh?
Well, I've become terribly attached to somebody. Oh, I wanted to tell you before so many times, but I never dared.
I see. Who is it? A man in the camp, somebody I know.
I'm afraid so.
Why afraid?
Well, because I know you don't like him.
My dear child, you know perfectly well I can't let myself get emotionally involved with any of you.
Oh, don't you? How about me?
I don't think you can accuse me of partiality. After all, I've made a point of doing you no special favors, ever. I must admit, though, we're only human. There is one man in the camp I just can't get myself to like. God knows I've made every effort in the world to meet him halfway, to come to terms with him, you might say, but it's just no good.
Yes, that does happen. In science, we call it chemical reaction.
Chemical reaction?
With one person, it's love, and with another, well, it's hate.
I only hope we're not talking about the same person. Eric, look at me. I can see it in your eyes. We are.
Please, Mrs. Peterson.
It's Victor Makowski, isn't it? Well, that's a fine piece of news. He must be at least 20 years older than you are. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. It's none of my business. It can't be.
Please, Mrs. Peterson, can't you just forget for a moment that this is an office, and forget your job, forget your official responsibility? Can't we talk as one woman to another?
Not in here. Not right now. If we could, I'd be asking you what on earth did you see? What on earth could you see in that man?
I don't know. Perhaps it was just that he's so full of despair.
Now, don't you dare come and talk to me about despair as though it was some kind of positive quality. You know very well there's no room for despair in these offices.
Please don't be angry.
Oh, no. Mrs. Peterson mustn't get angry. She's just got to sit here and listen. I'm a representative of the Office of the High Commissioner for Refugees, and everybody knows very well that I'm supposed to listen objectively and sympathetically to your troubles, give you counsel, cheer you up, remove a lot of red tape to speed up each of your particular cases, shake some apathetic officials into action here and there, and then, if I'm lucky, start you off into some kind of new life. And all that mock you without getting emotionally involved with any of you.
Mrs. Peterson, I don't think Mother would have lived as long as she did if it hadn't been for you, and everything you did for us.
Nonsense. Now, hadn't we better talk about this letter you don't want to look at? You know what's in it, don't you?
I think I've a pretty good idea. The obstacle, my sick mother, has gone. So now the U.S. immigration can give me a residence visa. Now I can go. I'm young. I'm healthy. And I'll be welcome over there. America is a land for the young. That's what everybody says.
You see, you've associated with that man and you've become bitter.
I haven't associated with him. As a matter of fact, he runs away from me all the time.
Well, if that's the case, how on earth do you know he loves you?
Well, I know. I can tell. I see it in his eyes. He doesn't speak to me, but he's begging for me with his eyes.
Yes, I suppose you are a woman, all right. Not a child anymore. Oh, well. There it is for you to decide. It's all ready. A visa for the USA and a 2-year scholarship to work on biological research at Yale University. I don't think I need to remind you of the long story behind this.
Yes, I know it step by step. That's why it really breaks my heart to have to disappoint you. After all you've done through the years to get that visa and that scholarship for me. Oh, Mrs. Peterson, believe me, if I weren't so much in love...
Pity that it didn't arrive sooner then. Since you were all ready for love, you might have met someone over there.
Oh, and he might not have liked me. I think we look different, we people from these camps. We've seen too much and lived too much in too short a time.
What nonsense. You've always dreamed of going to America.
I know, the shining new world. But I don't anymore. I must be a bit sick in the mind, like all the others. Even if I went and met that nice young man you speak of, who knows, perhaps I might not like him. What would he have in common with me? We refugees belong with each other somehow. We know the limits of our world. Mrs. Peterson, look at me.
Erica, I can have no opinion in this case. But if I could, I would simply tell you one thing. You're throwing your life overboard.
Somehow I don't think this is the end of me, Mrs. Peterson. Maybe I can change Victor.
Change Victor? What do you think we've been trying to do all these years? You think you know him better than we do?
Well, I know he's difficult, but what do you expect? What do you expect from a man who's torn away from everything, loses everything in a few days, his home, his children, and a chair at the university, and years later he is here in the camp, all set to go to a new country, to pick up his life again, and he learns that they won't have him because he's had the heart to take care of children with TB and has got TB himself. But of course you know all that.
Just a minute.
Well, what do you expect him to do? Give us a song and dance? And then at last another ray of hope, a country that will accept TB patients, and what's more, will get them cured. All right. What can he do when they tell him, oh no, you can't go there because we have to give preference to people with families, and you haven't one anymore? Well, answer me, Mrs. Peterson.
You know that isn't true. Your Victor could have gone to Sweden, family or no family, if only he had been a little less sorry for himself, and a lot more interested in starting a new life, in settling down.
Well, perhaps you're right. But the fact is, he's still here, and I'm in love with him.
That's no concern of mine, Erica.
But it is, it is. You and I are not two unknown persons meeting for the first time. I know how much compassion and love there is in your heart. You can't put me off with your lack of concern.
Oh, can't I? I should say I can when you make demands, impossible demands, that have little to do with my duty here. Oh, Erica, don't you see that I just don't want to talk about this? I cannot discuss your love for one of the men in the camp. Don't you know what it means to a woman of my age, with all that I've seen in the world, to have my hands tied as I watch you destroy your future, just because you're young and this is your first love? What has possessed you so suddenly, Erica? We have nothing else to discuss. Nothing. I thank you for your visit and your sincerity towards me. At least I know where we stand. Now, there's only one thing left to do. File these letters in your dossier.
I see. Mrs. Peterson, don't believe I'm ungrateful. No one could have done more for me than you. Please forgive me. Mrs. Peterson, may I kiss you, please?
Don't be silly, Erica. Oh, all right then. Goodbye.
Mr. Reeves?
Yes?
Seen Victor Makovsky around?
Upstairs.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, Erica, listen. When are you leaving? Erica!
Victor?
Good afternoon.
Look here, Victor.
It's been Mr. Markowski so far, Miss Eckerhart. Why the sudden change?
Because I feel like it.
You must know I do not make friends easily.
I know, but you have one or two all the same, haven't you? Franz, for one.
Yes?
Then join us in a little party we're giving him this evening. It's a surprise.
And who is we?
Dearie, Mrs. Kahn and I.
Why? What's the occasion?
It's his birthday.
You know, birthdays at his age are ridiculous.
It's as good a reason as any other to get together. And I've made a cake with the almonds Mrs. Kahn got from France and some pennies we've saved here and there. And I'd like you to try that cake for business reasons.
For business reasons?
Yes.
Are you going into the pastry business? You know very well I don't have any spare money to spend on cakes.
Oh, don't be so rude. You have no right to be. Tell me, Victor, if you had a chance to go into business with France, would you?
Business? Are you crazy? You seem to forget that all the relief and charity institutions around here have me classified as an intellectual. That is, a risk. A hard nut to crack, a good for nothing. Young intellectuals are all right, they go to universities. But How would I fit into a business?
You can drive a car, can't you?
Yes, I can drive a car.
All right, then you qualify.
You are crazy.
Well, I must be. More than crazy. Stark, staring mad to give my attention to a man who deliberately pushes me aside every time we meet, to feel friendly towards someone who wants no friends. Oh, it's madness, I know.
You mustn't feel friendly towards me. It's a waste of time. You're so young.
You were going to say fine. Well, that's good enough for me. Go on now, pretend you're indifferent to my offer of friendship.
Miss Eckerhart, I am a man who minds just his own business.
No, you're not, Victor, you're not. I've watched you. You need affection and friendship more than anybody else around here. Perhaps I'll break my neck in the effort, but I'm going to try and make you accept them from me. Victor. Oh, Victor. Thank you again, Hans. It was a very nice ride. Say thank you to the man, Victor.
Blast you, Hans.
Victor, you mustn't say things like that. He can read your lips.
Young lady, don't you dream for a moment that you're going to change me. Millions of men would have to come my way and prove to me that they are not a bunch of selfish, hypocritical, sadistic blind louts.
Millions? You wouldn't have the time or energy. Just 3 or 4 real friends would be more than enough to change your feelings. If love doesn't.
Love will not. And don't be proud of love, Erica. It's an animal drive. Something you can feel even for people you despise.
Oh, no, it's so much more than that. Get cured first, then you'll see.
Erika!
Hush now, there she is.
Erika, had a good time in town? Did you get everything?
Oh, yes. I found 2 brands of coffee, Mocha and Colombian. The people at the shop told me they blend very well.
That sounds nice. And the cake, how's the cake?
Ah, we'll have to try it to see. It looks good. They have beautiful electric ovens in the bakery. Oh, I also got 2 bottles of Riesling wine, Mrs. Kahn.
Oh, that's fine, fine. It's so nice to have a drink every now and then. Oh, Mr. Makovsky, you'll come to our little party, won't you? I'm sure Franz would ask you to join us once he sees we have remembered his birthday.
You know where he is?
Yeah, I just saw him going that way. I have an idea he went into Mrs. Marinkovich's room.
Well, that's strange.
Yeah, I thought so too. To go to her room right after she accused him of taking that Red Cross parcel she insists was for her.
Well, maybe he's having it out with her.
Yeah, but she's not there.
You certainly know everything about everybody, Mrs. Kahn.
Well, I think one should keep well informed, that's all.
I'm going to see if he's in. Franz!
Wait a minute, Erica. I'm coming with you.
Are you there, Franz? Answer me. Answer me. Hello? Why didn't you answer?
I wanted to leave a note here. You know, Erica, I did take the parcel they sent Mrs. Marinkovich. I just wanted to admit it and, well, apologize.
A very interesting lie, if one considers the fact that she received the parcel this morning. I saw the Red Cross officer give it to her herself.
Well,
what do you have to say to that, Franz?
Franz, don't look at us like that. What's come over you?
Nothing.
Nothing? Now, Franz, what are you up to? You know that this dirty hole we call our home here is sacred, don't you? Haven't you read the regulations of the camp? Now, what are you doing looking into the drawers here?
That's none of your business.
Erika, is he inside?
Yes, Mrs. Kahn. Would you please leave us alone for a minute? We're planning another little surprise.
Oh, another surprise! Oh, good. The camp is coming to life, all right.
Yeah, please leave us.
Oh, well, of course, Erika. Shall we meet at 7 then?
All right.
I'll take care of everything.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mrs. Kahn.
Happy birthday, Franz.
Well, how on earth does she know it's my birthday?
We told her.
How did you know?
It's the 10th of December. Not a difficult date to remember.
Ah, yes. Human Rights Day. That's a big joke if there ever was one. The right to life and liberty, the right to freedom of movement, and the right to a nationality, the right to social security. Ah, it sounds so beautiful.
Franz.
Erika, don't listen to him.
And what I love best in the whole declaration is the reference to the right to work. The right to work! Not to forget the right to participate freely in the cultural life of the community. You have quite a memory, Erika. This is a great day for all of us, this day of human rights. And that most noble declaration, doesn't it seem to have been conceived for us? Almost dedicated to us refugees. Victor! Get away from there! Leave that where you found it.
I want to take a good look at it first.
You son of a...
Franz! Stop it! Stop it! Victor can't fight! Think of his lungs! He mustn't!
Look at this, Erika. We came just in time.
Oh, no, Franz. You would never do that.
Oh, wouldn't he? What do you think this noose is for? An ironical little present for Mrs. Marinkovich? That woman has always kept all kinds of strings and ropes here. I like your macabre sense of humor, Franz. She's always been quarreling with you. So wouldn't it be a delightful little shock for the lady to come in and find you hanging from the rafters?
No.
Nice melodramatic imagination you have, Victor.
Oh, Franz, were you really going to do it?
Don't I have the right to? Or isn't that right listed in your Universal Declaration of Human Rights?
Franz! Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I forgot you were such a religious girl. You're lucky to believe.
She's right in asking you why.
Do you know which birthday this is for me?
Your 45th?
Now look at my eyes. Look at them. They have lost almost all their color. They are the eyes of an old man.
Yes, but look at the way you walk. You've got a youthful figure.
It's just about all we can boast of with our diets. Trim figures.
You're not 45, you're 50 today, aren't you?
Yes.
50. It's a bad moment for men who lead a normal life.
50 years old, and the doors of the world close on you. 50, and you become an X-man. When you're 50, your name is taken off all lists. You know, the lists marked eligible for abroad. 50, and you're through. Finished.
You could work with us here in town.
Now, doing what? I don't want to stay here. Everything here reminds me of the war and what led to it. I've always wanted to go to a new country and see new faces, young faces.
Listen to me, Victor. I know we can get a loan from the UN office, and there's an old house I've seen. We could rent that, maybe reconvert it ourselves, and start a bakery. Oh, now listen, we could make things which you can't find elsewhere in town. English cakes and donuts. Now listen, Victor, and I'll do the baking and serve the customers. You, Franz, could keep the books and do all the buying. Then what we need is an old van. We can get that for next to nothing, and Victor, you could drive it. Deliver and take orders from regular customers.
Yeah. An economist, a philosopher, and a brilliant student of natural sciences, furiously devoting all their talents to the making of donuts. Splendid. I suppose that is what the reports of the United Nations High Commissioner's Office describe as integration of intellectual refugees.
Franz, it's easy to be sarcastic, but it will be our shop, our business.
The right to cook people's favorite donuts.
For pity's sake, Franz, you're getting on my nerves. I understand how you feel today, but look, other people have feelings too. This has been quite a day for me as well.
What do I care about other people? What do they care about me? The doughboys of World War I, they used to call themselves, in a charming fit of self-pity, the forgotten men. But when you really forget a man, as the world has forgotten us, then there is not even a tag for him.
Franz, come back, or if you won't, think it over. We three can have a fine time working together, and we need you. You can help Victor to get well, and you can help me to feel a bit happy.
Why? Why must I? The next time you come to me with any of your silly little schemes, Erica, I swear to God I'll kill myself before your very eyes.
You fool! Erica, I think... No, I don't think. I know Franz is over the worst. But give him time. We all need time to adjust. That can't happen overnight.
And you, Victor, my dear. What about you? What are you going to do?
I am going to do every single thing I can to make you get out of here and go to America.
And if I don't?
Erica, we'll cross that bridge when the time comes.
Oh, I hope that time is on our side. More than it is with France and the others. It must be. Even this crooked kind of time, which is the only one we can recognize. Hours that last a lifetime. Years that slip by with nothing to mark them, as though they were ours. Oh, come on, Victor. Let's join Jerry and Mrs. Khan and have a glass of wine and a piece of cake. There won't be any birthday party. But anyway, we can drink to the days to come.
In books, in plays, in films, you're very likely to see the following sentence. The characters portrayed in this story are entirely imaginary, and any resemblance between them and persons living or dead is entirely coincidental. So, too, in the account you've just heard, but not entirely. This is fiction, but fiction based largely on fact. For though the story of Erica, Victor, and Franz was a work of imagination, their cases might well be among the hundreds of dossiers now on file in the UN High Commissioner's office. The decisions which faced them could face any refugee. That is, if he or she is one of the lucky ones for whom an opportunity arises. And these opportunities can arise. Thousands of refugees have gone to new countries and started new lives. Even refugees with TB can now go to countries to be cured and resettled. And refugees can become useful citizens of the countries which now give them shelter. It is the ardent hope of the United Nations High Commissioner's Office for Refugees that within 3 years the camps will be a thing of the past. Close the camps by 1960. It sounds so easy. But we're dealing here with men and women and children, not with real estate. It takes time, it takes organization, it takes money. And for so many, the best years of their lives are slipping by. Close the camps by 1960. This is the target. It can be done. But only if governments, voluntary agencies, and people all over the world do everything they possibly can. Everything that is humanly possible.
There are 2 ways in which you can help. Funds are urgently needed. Please send whatever you can to the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, United Nations, New York. If you feel that you can do more, please write to the United Nations High Commissioner's Office. The address is simple: United Nations, New York. You have been listening to Birthday Party, a moment in the life of European refugees from World War II, written by Arturo Después. Julie Harris played the part of Erica. Edith Atwater was Mrs. Peterson. Carol Stepanek was Franz. Woodrow Parfrey played Victor. Connie Lemke, Mrs. Khan. And Jack Livesey was Mr. Reeves. Music by Ruth Welcome. This program was produced by United Nations Radio and presented by the American Broadcasting Network.
United Nations Radio presents The UN Story. In this series of programs, United Nations Radio presents an authentic, transcribed account of the work of the UN, a record of achievement, the UN Story. Today, a true story from the files of the United Nations World Health Organization, of its work in Afghanistan, and particularly of one beneficiary of that work, a small beneficiary.
Lila. When this story began, there was as yet no Lila. Her father Ismail and her mother Khoury lived in Kabul, almost within sight of the new Sharara Hospital with its 30-bed maternity ward. And almost every day as they waited for their new arrival, Ismail and Khoury could hear, passing slowly along the narrow, crowded streets, the new ambulance that served the Sharara Hospital.
They do not drive too well, my beloved. When I drive my truck, I drive faster.
Yes, Ismail.
Even through the Khyber Pass to Peshawar. Fast.
Yes, Ismail. But it is an ambulance, my husband. Sometimes ambulances cannot go fast.
Oh.
If the one inside is very sick, sometimes they must go slowly. It is a fine ambulance. And the hospital. Everything shines, Ismail. The floors are marble. The walls shine. Even running water. It is not necessary to carry it from the spring.
And why not?
In bathrooms, Ismail. From pipes.
Yes. 2 years ago, only 5 beds, and now many times that number. And the head man, the Dr. Taraki, and the woman doctors and the nurses come from other countries.
From India.
Far beyond India, my turtle. From many lands. You have heard of the United Nations?
Yes.
The water tower over the hospital. These bathrooms you speak of. Those were done by an engineer from a World Health Organization.
Oh, water that runs through pipes.
What are you thinking, my pigeon?
The child I am carrying, Ismail. Some children are born in the hospital.
Yes.
Do you think perhaps...
These things are not too simple to arrange, Khoury.
I know. I am a stranger here to Kabul. But perhaps when you come back from Peshawar... Besides, I do not even know of a Da'i, a midwife.
There is time. My child is not due for some time. When I return from Peshawar.
But the child that was to be named Lila did not wait for her father's return from Peshawar. One evening, shortly after the muezzins called to prayer, Khoury felt a stirring within her.
Oh, the baby.
The pains grew more frequent and regular. Khoury ran to a neighbor for help.
My baby is coming. I must have a midwife.
So, you see?
A girl.
Girl, boy, so long as it is born.
I am grateful. My husband will be grateful. I'm sorry.
Sorry? For what?
Water.
Water?
In the hospital, there is water. From pipes.
Water. I am a midwife for many years. Many years, many babies. Who has need of water?
The midwife left. Khoury was alone with her baby. Looking forward to greeting her husband, at first she fed the baby, waiting for the weakness and pain of childbirth to pass. But they did not pass.
Hush, my baby. I'm hot. So hot.
2 days later, Huri had a high fever. Her neighbors came to help, used what few medicines they had. But Huri's fever grew worse. Until finally, on the 5th day, one of the neighbors remembered the ambulance that passed by each day to and from Sharara Hospital. When Nurse Jorgensen came into Huri's home...
My baby...
Hush now.
I could not feed her.
Now. I have looked at the baby already. I am looking at you.
My husband is away. He drives a truck. It goes faster than the ambulance. Faster. Water. Water is cool. Like the mountains. I come from Anjuman. Mountains are high. There's snow. Deep snow.
Here, drink this.
No, it is hot. Ismail. Where's Ismail? My husband is back. He has a... No, it is hot.
Delirious. Bring the stretcher. Both must go to the hospital. Mother and child both.
Puerperal fever, Nurse Jorgensen?
Yes.
The midwife did not wash her hands?
I'm afraid that is so.
Any hope of recovery?
Dr. Garda thinks not. Excuse me now, I must go to see her.
Everything so hot. There is snow on the mountains. Ismail, did you know there's snow? Deep snow, Ismail. All winter long, and even in summer. Once I ate snow. Did I tell you? Did I tell you, Ismail? The sun was so hot and Ismail.
Huri.
Despite many improvements which had taken place in Afghanistan in those past few years, midwives being trained at Sharara Hospital by the government's public health authorities, assisted by World Health Organization instructors, despite the increasing use of sulfa drugs and antibiotics, Huri had waited too long before coming to Sharara. 2 days after admission, she was dead. Ismail came back from Peshawar. When he arrived at his home, he heard of what had happened, that his wife had died.
And the baby? The small one?
His neighbors knew that the baby had been taken in the ambulance along with Huri. They knew that Huri was dead. They knew that the baby had been close to starving, and they knew the baby had not returned.
Excuse me, I must go and find out. One side, I ask your pardon. Allow me through, please. Please, one side. One side, please. The ambulance. Wait! Stop, please! Please, I must speak.
Yes?
I am Ismail Khan. I am the husband of Khan and Huri, whom Allah has taken.
Huri, your wife?
Whom Allah has been pleased to take from me, but there is a baby, a small one, a girl baby. What has happened to her?
Please, get in. You can ride in front. We are going to the hospital.
The ambulance moved through the narrow streets and then onto the broader highways that lay along the Kabul River. Ismail's eyes turned to the squat mosque with its twin minarets above the bend of the river, to the towering, snow-covered mountains behind it. But mostly he listened as Nurse Jorgensen explained what had happened to the daughter he had not yet seen.
She is well? My daughter is well?
A fine baby, Ismail Khan.
Praise to Allah from whom all blessings flow. But then, how can this be? My neighbor said the baby was starving.
She was. Your wife had been unable to feed her. But there are many mothers in the ward.
Ah?
30 beds in the maternity ward, Ishmael. And 30 foster mothers among them had enough to nourish another baby.
30? All of them?
They all helped.
But this is good for a small baby?
Good.
I am of Dinarkel stock, my wife also. All these mothers, they are not...
Oh, I see. No, Ishmael, there's no need for you to worry. Milk is like blood, even more universal than blood. Mother's milk is mother's milk. Oh, here is the hospital. You'll see for yourself.
Bismillah. Khuri was right. The floors are marble.
So is the floor in the operating room and in the bathrooms. That was done by the Minister of Health.
Himself?
No, not himself, but he saw to it. He came on a surprise visit and spoke to Dr. Gade as she came out of the operating room. He asked if the hospital needed anything, and she said, could we have a marble chip floor in the operating room?
Marble chips?
We got more than Dr. Gade asked for. The best marble in all Afghanistan. Here we are.
My daughter?
Yes, in this room. Oh, and here is Dr. Gade. Dr. Gade, this is Lila's father.
How do you do?
Salam. Lila? That is her name?
Well, it's the name we gave her here. Of course, you may wish to change it.
My wife gave her no name?
Your wife was much too ill, Ismail Khan.
Well, let me look at her. I may pick her up? Huh? Ah, yes. Yes. Lila? Huh? Huh? Her coloring, it's like her mother's, huh? Look, just like her mother's.
She has your eyes.
No. Yes. Yes, like me. Look, she's smiling. Oh. But what am I to do?
About what, Ismail Khan?
My wife, whose memory I shall mourn for many times 40 days, is dead. My house is empty. How am I to take care of her?
Won't you let me help with that?
You mean keep her here in the hospital?
Well, not as a patient, as a pet. Our work here is mainly showing new methods of home and hospital care to nurses and midwives. We help the government to help all the people of Afghanistan. But your daughter has become a mascot with us. Besides, she'll need special nursing for some time.
If she can be brought to the hospital each morning, she'll be better off.
Each morning? And to her home each night?
We would be very happy.
And I too. I too shall be happy. Look, Lila too is happy. Why not, huh? You say 30 foster mothers? 30. Imagine. You are with the United Nations?
Yes, in a way. I am just a part of the World Health Organization team here.
World Health? Yes. That is my daughter. With 30 foster mothers, that is World Health too, huh?
Lila is a true UN story about the World Health Organization in Afghanistan. Whenever United Nations technical assistance is applied, there is full cooperation and coordination with the agencies of the country involved. The goal is always that people are helped in order to help themselves. The UN story is produced and transcribed by the international staff of United Nations Radio.